Hello! It's time for the quarter year check-in book tag. This book tag was created by Shelly Swearingen. She uploaded a video with these questions, with these prompts about 4 weeks ago. People on BookTube have been using a much older version of the quarter year check-in book tag, and those questions are a little bit more pedestrian, a little bit more, common. I found the questions and prompts in Shelley's book tag a lot more thought-provoking, and I think they will foster some pretty interesting discussions. So let's just get right to it. First question: which bookish creator has influenced your reading the most this year? Historically speaking, Mike from Mike's Book Reviews has influenced my TBR for the past several years the most. But in 2025, it is easily the brothers Gwyn. Will and Ed, they have influenced my TBR immensely. I think I have 18 or 19 books on the schedule for 2025 that I'm only picking up because I heard them speak so highly about these books. 2025 is definitely the year where I'm just following in the brothers Gwyn's footsteps, and so far, I've enjoyed all the books I've read on their recommendation. Next question: have you noticed any interesting shifts or trends within the bookish content world? There are a lot of trends that I'm noticing, but in particular, the one I'm most excited about is that a lot of booktubers, particularly the biggest booktubers, are really starting to focus less on content that they know is going to perform well, and they're really starting to read more books that they actually want to read. I feel like booktube and all bookish online platforms in general have really incentivized bookish content creators to read what is most popular, and it makes sense. You read a popular series, you talk about it, you get more views, which leads to more watch hours, which leads to monetization. It makes sense. I'm not knocking it, but it's kind of led to this echo chamber effect where we're all reading the same books. And I feel like FOMO, is a big part of that. And we all kind of want to talk about books with people that are on this platform. That's one of the best parts about being on BookTube. But you're seeing a lot of booktubers really start to read the books they want to read. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot of different fandoms really explode over the next 2 years in the bookish online spaces. And I feel like a lot of this innovation, a lot of this change, a lot of this vibrant life that is being breathed into BookTube is coming from book talkers who are moving over to the platform. Book talk gets a lot of hate here on BookTube, and I think it's undeserved. I'm really excited to see a lot of new faces here in the bookish community on YouTube. And I think the golden age of BookTube is on the horizon, for sure. Is there a type of bookish content you wish creators, including yourself, explored more? I wish there was more original book tags. It feels like I missed the whole book tag golden age here on BookTube. I started watching BookTube in 2022, and book tags were kind of already a thing of the past. You're starting to see a few more bookish content creators make book tags, and they're so exciting. I love when creators get creative with their book tags. I love getting very specific book recommendations. I like the prompts, I like the questions, I like the discussions that these book tags start. One of the main reasons I made this video is because I thought Shelley's quarter year check-in book tag was better than the original. So I want to see more innovative, more original book tags. That is definitely one thing that Book Talk does way better than BookTube in general. Book Talk, there's like a new book tag every week. And BookTube, I really feel like we need to up our game when it comes to the book tags. That being said, I definitely should make an original book tag. Put my money where my mouth is. What's a book recommendation you took from a creator that completely paid off? I discovered my favorite book of all time because of Mike from Mike's Book Reviews. He recommended Blackwater by Michael McDowell. I had never read a Southern Gothic story. I had never read a family saga, but he recommended this book so highly, and I gave it a try, and I bought it, and I read it in a month, and after finishing Blackwater, I was forever changed. I still think about this book every day. I wish I could read that book again for the first time. I love Michael McDowell's writing now. He's one of my favorite authors. I recommend Blackwater to every one of my friends who reads, and those that have read it agree with me that it is an absolute masterpiece. Yes, Blackwater, thank you, Mike, was an amazing book. If you could collaborate with any bookish creator for a unique project, who would it be and what would you do? You see, this is a hard question for me to answer because I'm very shy when it comes to booktube engagement, booktube activity. I watch so many booktubers videos. I comment very rarely. I feel like I'm shy. I feel like I'm imposing when I talk to people, you know, when I talk to people that haven't spoken to me first. That's something I'm going to have to get over. But I would love to just do some read-alongs with some other booktubers. I feel like I have some pretty eclectic, wide-reaching taste, and I love reading books with other people at the same time. One of the best improvements to my reading life in 2025 is that me and three of my friends, started a book club at the end of 2024, and I just love the discussions. I love reading a book together on the same time frame and talking about it as we go along. That's just a really cool experience and something I never I never had personal experience with until the last 2 months of 2024. So if I could just do some more read-alongs with some other booktubers, that would be ideal. So if you're interested, let's read some books together, but I'm too shy to talk about anybody in particular. Has your relationship with the bookish community changed in any way this year? I feel like it's changed a little. I've been a lot more vocal than I was in 2024 when it comes to commenting on other bookish content creators' videos, attending their live streams, taking part in the discussion. I feel like I've been doing a lot better, but I still am very much like, on the scale from shy to outgoing. I'm very much still all the way over here on the shy, like an 8 out of 10 on the shyness scale when it comes to being a booktuber. But one of my goals for 2025 is to do much better at that, and I'm going to make an effort to be even more outgoing. I just got to get through that initial awkwardness, that initial anxiety, that initial shyness. Then after I get through that, I think it'll be easier. At least I'm hoping it'll be easier. Are you reading more or less than you expected? I am reading less than I expected, but the books I'm reading have been a lot harder than I have anticipated. Like, I read Neuromancer in January. That book made me feel so stupid. The book club and we read Lonesome Dove together. That's a chonker. That's a book that's very hard to binge through. And we're reading a lot of other emotionally heavy literary works. Like, we're reading East of Eden right now. Try binging that book. It is very difficult. So, yes, I'm reading slower than anticipated. I think I'm at 19 books out of my goal for 70. But I'm not worried about that. The goal is not really a hard set goal. I'm just trying to read at a very natural pace, focusing more on quality over quantity. But I still think I'll at least read 60 books this year, but 70 would be ideal. Are you reading more backlists or new releases? I almost never read new releases because I never DNF. It's not healthy. I'm trying to get better at that. But if I pick up a book, 99.9% of the time, I'm going to finish it. I feel like I have a very good screening process. That's one of the main reasons why I started watching BookTube, is because I want other people to try books first. When an author has a popular series that is taking BookTube or Book Talk by storm, I usually wait until the ending is in sight for that series. And I'll usually, buy my time of reading another series by that author. That way, when people are talking about their most popular series, I'll say, well, have you read this series by them? It's not as well known, but it's also very good because I think I'm special or a hipster or something. So yes, I avoid new releases. There are a few exceptions, but for the most part, I want to know the books I'm reading are good before I give them a try. Have you been reading books you already own, or are you still picking up library/borrowed books? I feel like I'm different from a lot of booktubers in that I buy very few books, and then if I do buy those books, they are secondhand. And I'm not virtue signaling. I just have a lot of things of my upbringing, a lot of trauma. I don't feel comfortable spending money on myself for my enjoyment. I have a lot of guilt with that. So I could never justify spending money on books when I could read them for free with my library, with Kindle Unlimited, what have you. If I'm going to spend money for my enjoyment, it's going to be buying things for my children or my wife and seeing them be happy with it, and that makes me happy. I live in Pahrump, which is right outside of Las Vegas. I have a Las Vegas library card. I have access to almost any book I could ever want to read, and books that I can't find from the Las Vegas library. I can find on Kindle Unlimited, or I could buy for $2 in an ebook format. That's just what I feel comfortable doing. If I really love a book, I will put it on an Amazon wish list and just pray and hope that somebody buys the book for me, because then I don't feel guilty about it. Maybe I should just go to therapy and handle that. I don't know. What's the longest/shortest book you've read so far? I'm assuming this means for 2025. The longest book I've read in 2025, I'm pretty sure, is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. If not, it'll be The Wasteland by Stephen King, which is his third installment in The Dark Tower. Both of these books are in the 700-ish page range. I think Lonesome Dove is slightly longer, but, both those books were so good, I didn't mind how long it took. The shortest book I've read is probably Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear by Seanan McGuire. This is novella. It is the latest installment in Seanan McGuire's Wayward Children series, a series that for several years I've loved immensely. The last 4 or 5 installments have really been big letdowns for me, and that's quite sad. But yeah, shortest and longest. Have you read anything completely outside your comfort zone? Neuromancer by William Gibson. I have never felt so stupid reading a book. That book really just wrecked me. It's less than 300 pages, and I swear it took me probably about 15 hours to read. Me and my friends were reading it for the book club. It was hard. It was a trial. It was a struggle, and none of us knew what was happening until about the 80% mark. All of us restarted it after reading the first 50 pages because we didn't know what to talk about. We couldn't discuss the book after reading it for 50 pages. It was such a surreal fever dream of a story. I think maybe cyberpunk just isn't for me. I'm interested to see how the TV show that's based off this book is going to turn out, and I'll definitely be tuning in for that. Have you noticed any patterns in the kinds of books you're drawn to this year? I'm more interested in manly reads in 2025. I want to read the Westerns. I want to read Sword and Sorcery. I want to read lit RPGs. I want to read action-packed stories. I want to read noble, bright, traditional types of fantasy, which is a very interesting change for me because I've always been drawn to, books that are more modern, that are more nuanced, less action-heavy, more slow-moving. But I really feel like these books that are more masculine coded, if that makes sense, have been a lot more interesting and compelling to me in 2025. And that's cool. That's a very interesting change. I feel like I was raised in a household of all girls. I've always liked fiction that was a little softer, a little bit more introspective, a little bit more about plot as opposed to story. But now I'm liking epic, manly, action-packed stories. And I'm not sure if that's going to be a permanent change, but that's definitely something I've noticed with me. Have you been more intentional with your reading, or has it felt more like following whims and impulses? I definitely feel like I've been reading by my mood in 2025, which is annoying on one level, because one of my main goals was to follow a more set-in-stone schedule this year. I uploaded 2 videos, one about the 25 standalone books I wanted to read in 2025, and then about 12 series I wanted to start in 2025. And I've started one of those series, and I've only read 6 of those standalones. I'm not going to achieve and accomplish those goals. But I've really been enjoying what I've been reading. I've been really enjoying reading the books that I feel like reading. I've been enjoying reading the books that my book club has been voting on. It has been nice, but less predictable, slower. But I think I think I like the way I've been reading this year. Are you on track with any reading goals or challenges you set at the beginning of the year? No. No. Short answer, no. Next question. Have you abandoned or changed any goals? Yes. One of my original goals that I set at the beginning of this year was to upload 150 videos to the YouTube channel this year. I'm behind schedule. Not that behind schedule, but I'm amending that goal to be, I want to have a set uploading schedule set in stone before the end of the year. I just want to have a regular schedule that I could follow, that I can get into a routine with, because that's one of my main weaknesses. I'm not good at following a routine when it comes to my BookTube channel, And I feel like you're not a real booktuber until you could follow a routine. And I just have I've never reached that step yet. I've never hit that level when it comes to taking this as seriously as I want to take it. So I want to get a schedule set in stone, and I want to read at least 60 books this year. Are there any books you still really want to get to before the end of the year? I want to finish the other 3 books in the Lonesome Dove series. I want to finish the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, and I want to finish all the books that are out in Dungeon Crawler Carl. If I was going to put money on it, I would say those are the 3 series that I'm definitely going to finish in 2025, and that's what I'm hoping to get to. What's the most disappointing book you've read in 2025? That's easy. The Toll by Neil Shusterman. This series had such a bad ending, it really just ruined the way I felt about the previous 2 installments, which I very much enjoyed. I had heard a lot of bad things about the Age of Scythe trilogy, or at least the way that it ended. A lot of people were telling me that The Toll was not on the same level as the previous 2, and they were right. I was not prepared for just how bad, how subpar, how underwhelming, how uncathartic the ending of The Toll was. And that really bugs me. I know it's YA. I know YA is not generally on the same level as adult fiction, but Scythe was a really dang good book. And Thunderhead was a very good sequel. The Toll, I don't know what the author was trying to do, but it was a massive disappointment. One of my biggest bookish disappointments I've had in the channel. It took me over 5 months to read The Toll. And then I finally powered through it and read the last 3/4 of it in May, and I regret it. Which book surprised you the most, in a good or bad way? Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This book changed my brain chemistry. This book was so incredibly disturbing, so unsettling. And I feel like it was so unsettling because I have young children. I imagine my children growing up in a society like this. And the scary thing about it was I could actually picture it. It did not seem that far off. And that was surprising. Dystopian fiction is one of my favorite subgenres. But very rarely do they touch me personally. I'm always reading dystopian fiction and coming away with the whole idea that this is so far off from the current reality that I should not even worry about this. This is just alarmism. It's only helpful to teach people about the dangers of the extremes. But Brave New World did not seem that extreme. And it was surprising to me. I understand, because of the subject material, why this book is not more widely read in school, but it was very surprising, very jarring, very unsettling, and it changed me. Have you discovered any new favorite authors? Alan Moore. I read 3 of his graphic novels 2 months ago. I loved all of them. The man can tell a story. He writes grimdark, gritty, morally gray characters so well. His stories are very compelling, very thought-provoking, very philosophical. I made a video about V for Vendetta, link to that somewhere on the screen. Yeah, Alan Moore, I think he might become one of my favorites. I've only read 3 of his things so far, but I'm definitely going to be reading more of his bibliography in 2025, for sure. Have you DNF'd any books? If so, why? Nope. I don't DNF books because I have a good screening process, and I hate myself. What's the book that has resonated with you the most this year, and why? Lonesome Dove. I grew up with no father in the house, and one of the main characters of Lonesome Dove is a young teenage boy who has no father, but he has all these, male figures to look up to, and he's, pulled every which direction looking for someone to emulate. And these men disappoint him, these men inspire him, these men lead him in the wrong direction, and I saw so much of myself in this young man in Lonesome Dove. And I really feel like, particularly if you don't have any positive male role models in your life, Lonesome Dove will hit you in the feels so hard. Lonesome Dove really made me think about a lot of things, made me think about the type of man I want to be for my children. And yeah, if you're a young man, or if you're just a dude that's looking for a book that'll make you emotional about things, I definitely think Lonesome Dove is worth a try. Which book challenged your perspective or made you think differently about something? I have 2 answers to this. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley it made me really worried about the future, like the future of our world, about how our society is addicted to pleasure, and about how terrifying a world of no trouble is. And The Green Mile by Stephen King. This was my book of the month for April, and I think it may have just changed my opinion about the death penalty. I'm not sure about that, but it's definitely making me lean towards the I'm against the death penalty in principle part of like the debate. So both of those books changed my mind about things. What's the best book you've read so far this year? It's got to be Lonesome Dove. But I'm reading East of Eden right now, and that may be a contender for that. So we'll have to see. I have a lot of great books on the schedule. I'm finally reading Lord of the Rings. I'm going to be rereading The Hobbit. I'm going to be finishing some other series. So who knows if Lonesome Dove will still be my favorite book of 2025 towards the end of the year. But right now, it is in first place solidly. That was a lot of questions. Hopefully it fosters some good discussion. Thank you, Shelly, for making the book tag. If any of you guys have some answers to any of the prompts from this book tag, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to talk to you guys about some of these things. And I'll talk to you guys next time.